Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'm going to be planting up my herb planter here. So this is a new pot I got recently from Elho. Technically you're supposed to be able to stack them up so you have lots of them, and then you've just got little sections in each level, about 3 sections in each level, growing with plants. But I've only got the one, so I'm not going to be stacking this one, but maybe in the future I'll stack them and I'll be able to have like a pillar of herbs. And I'll just show you a picture now of what that would look like. So as you can see, that's the idea. You stack these pots up and then you get loads and loads of growing space in a small area. So I think that would be look really nice if I managed to get that full of herbs or maybe flowers that are trailing down. But as I say, I only got one for now, so this is all I'll be doing. So there's 3 sections in here. These 2 sections are planted up with a rich multi-purpose compost. This section is actually topsoil from my parents' garden. The reason for that is I've tried to grow coriander countless times with multi-purpose compost. It always germinates. It always sends out 2 or 3 leaves, looks fine, and then just dies off. So I don't know why, but it just doesn't seem to grow for me in multi-purpose compost. So the coriander that I'm growing will grow in the garden soil because I've grown it with my parents, and it grows really well in their soil. So their soils to do well. They've got a very sandy soil, but they've put a lot of nutrients and really enriched it, so it's a really top quality garden soil. I can show you a close up there of it, and it's just really nice and loose, fine material. Good mixture of sand and loam and a lot of organic matter as well, so it's a top-notch soil. So the other 2 sections I'm going to be growing rocket. I was wanting just normal rocket, but the shop was sold out of rocket, so I just had to get wild rocket, which is quite similar. It tends to grow a bit smaller, a bit more peppery, and just doesn't grow quite as vigorous. And then I'm also growing a radish variety called Cherry Bella, I think it's called, or Belle. Apparently it's supposed to be one of the best tasting ones, so I'll be interested to see how that does. Now these 2, the coriander and the rocket, will actually want a lot of nitrogen because we're harvesting the leaves. So I'm going to have to be careful because the radish doesn't like too much nitrogen. If I gave the radish a lot of nitrogen, it would grow a lot of leaves and the stems wouldn't grow very fat, and you just get a lot of leaf and not enough of the edible stem. So I'm going to just liquid feed them, and I'm just going to be careful with when I do liquid feed the other 2 that it doesn't seep into the other section, because it will I'm sure some of the nitrogen will get into that section, but hopefully it won't be too much. So I'll start off with the radish. So the radish must be some of the easiest plants to grow. As you can see, the seeds are nice size, they're quite big, so it's very easy to handle the seeds. And I'll just scatter these quite evenly along here. I'm going to plant them quite close together because this is a very small radish variety. They have quite small small roots and stem that you eat. But I will probably need to thin these out, and what we'll do is we'll eat some of them when they're really small, let the other ones fatten up slightly. But radish is so easy, it's pretty much foolproof. You just put it in the ground, after a month or 2 it's ready to crop. One of the quickest things you can crop, and also it just doesn't need much looking after. It just grows really well, really fast. And I'll note these will actually grow up within just a few days. So if I have the time-lapse camera available, I'll try and set it up. You'll see they germinate really quite quickly. So the rocket here, as is the wild rocket, will have actually very small seeds. I find that the other kind of rocket does have decent sized seeds, but the wild rocket are actually incredibly small. And I'll sow these very thickly, and the reason for that is I'm going to be doing this as cut and come again. I'm not going to be sowing this as harvesting individual plants. What I want is a mass of leaves, and I'll just keep cutting the leaves whenever we want some for our salad or whatever we're using it for. And it should just keep producing for quite a while, and then eventually after a few months it will go to seed, and we'll just have to replace it with more seeds. But ideally in the garden you'd sow this every few weeks so that you have a continual succession of plants. So you'll be able to see here they're actually really small seeds, almost like dust. So I'll just zoom into this, and I'll also get one of these radish seeds as a comparison, so you can really see the size difference. There's probably almost 100 times the size or something like that. You can see that radish seed there is giant in comparison with the rocket seed. So I'm just going to very gently sprinkle this over the surface. I'm going to, as I say, I'm going to do quite a high concentration because I want this to be cut and come again. So I want lots of little plants to grow up. And as I say, I'll just continuously harvest them as the months go by. And finally, I've got my coriander seeds. They're also quite large seeded plants. and there tends to be actually more than one plant in the seed, and I'll see if I can demonstrate what I mean by that. So as I say, they are quite large seeds, they're quite similar in size to the radish. So you can see them there, and I'll just get one and I'll try and crack it open for you. So you can see there it's split, and in one side there's a seed, and in the other side of this there'll also be a seed. So you normally get 2 seeds in the little seed case. So you'll get a couple of seedlings per seed normally. And this again I'm going to plant quite close together. Not as close together as the rocket, because the seeds in this are a lot bigger and the plants tend to grow a lot larger as well. But I will sell them close together because these are going to be cut and come again. So I'll just keep harvesting the leaves as the season goes on, and hopefully they'll last for quite a while. Whereas the radish, when you harvest them, you take out the whole plant, so the whole plant is killed when you take it away. So I don't want them to cram together. The other reason you don't want to cram the radish together is you won't get nice sized radish, you'll just get tiny little things, and they'll just be too small to use and eat really. Whereas with the rocket and the coriander, it's just leaves you're eating, so you don't need them to grow particularly big. You just keep collecting the leaves as you don't individually harvest the plants. So that's all the seeds sown on the surface. What I'll need to do now is I'll just put a thin layer of compost over each one. What I'm going to do is going to put about 1 centimetre over the radish and the coriander because they're quite large seeds. But with the rocket here, I'm just going to put a very thin layer because these seeds are so small. If you put 1 centimetre or more of compost in that, you'll smother them and they won't come through too well. So that's it all planted up. Give you guys an update when these are growing. Hopefully I'll get a nice harvest from this little selection of herbs.